Ooh, I feel like we got a show today. You know, this is Share the Live Stream. Welcome to Share the Live Stream. Thank you for tuning in. If it's your first time, welcome. First time watching one of the shows, welcome. So glad you're here. I'm gonna give you a little bit of background about myself and kind of explain like what I'm up to with this project. But I am excited. You know, this is one of the days where I knew these days were coming. I started this project just with, God just says, show up, be obedient, be there, be at the end of the pier at noon, like the movie I Legend, just show up at the same time every single day where people can kind of count on you being there. I've been saying that you are not alone for like my whole life. And this is like, this is proof that you're not alone, that you got someone that's out here in the trenches with you. And so we're going to show up. We show up that way. If you're tuning in on Instagram, you know what I'm saying? Like you might want to check out, pop over to the link in my bio and watch the stream on YouTube or watch the playback on YouTube or on Facebook. We got some jams going on this side. You know what I'm saying? You can't hear them on Instagram, but you can hear them on the playback. You can hear them on Facebook. We have to share one if you're looking for us on Facebook to join that community. But my name is Joel Barnes. I am retired nightclub. You know, I've called myself a nightclub guru before. Now I'm just doing a ministry. I'm starting a ministry / nonprofit / business because it's going to be all those things called Share. And the goal is for us to share our blessings and our bruises to resource each other with love and empathy. And I think that's, I've been kind of going back and forth on what exactly our mission statement was, because I feel like it's such a big deal. But I think that might be it. We were close. But today on the show, we're going to address the question. We're going to answer the question, can you share too much? And as a person who literally has a Share t-shirt, a Share tattoo, show up on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube every single day at 1:30 or every Monday through Friday, 1:30. It's an important question to ask. And I just want to kind of get you, like, how do we get here in the first place? First of all, like, this show is as much for me as it is about anybody who could be listening. I'm in a rough season in my life. Like, part of the reason why we're even having this conversation is because I shared some really vulnerable things or really vulnerable posts. And I had a friend kind of just very lovingly say, hey, is it possible that we can share too much? And I love the way that she approached it, because she approached it with care. And I love the way that she approached it, and that she did actually approach it. She may have had some, resentment or I'm sorry, reluctancy to kind of ask me that question, because, hey, look, this is a guy who now is on episode 18 called Share the Live Stream. And she's literally asking me the question, is it possible to share too much? And so I thought it was a beautiful question, beautifully and with so much care kind of presented. And because of that, it made me feel safe to explore. It made me feel safe to really do some good, honest reflection. It's something that I talked to my therapist about. It's something that I have read a lot about. I found, it was a really good reality gut check, really good gut check, really good way for me to say, like, look, some of the things I share hurt people, my family included. Some of the things, when I talk about the pain that I'm in at times, or I talk about the suffering that I am going through in this particular season, I know that it evokes pain, and I know it evokes helplessness in people that care about me. Ultimately, I think that that's one of the things that was kind of going on with my friend. She felt like there's not a lot she could do to help. And because there's not a lot she can do to help, she felt helpless. And similar to my mom, my family, my brothers, my sisters, they know me And then some of my really good friends, one of my friends, Sue, who reposted that I was doing this show. I think that there's certain people in the world that just know who you are. And so when they see you suffering, it's hard on them. And sometimes it's just as hard on them. And so what it made me check in. It made me check in around not the vision, but like, you know, like what are the components of sharing? And so I wanted today to start the conversation. Is it to answer the question, is it possible to share too much, or can we share too much? And my first answer is no. My first gut answer, simple, short. You can sign off right now if you don't want to hear anything else, or you don't believe me, or you do believe me. Like you know, but it's how. It's not just how, it's who, it's with who, it's why, it's where. So we're going to in this conversation, we're going to, I did more prep for today's show than I do normally, because normally I'm just trying to show up, and my goal is to show up and get there. And there are days when that's the best I can do. And so that's what I show up with. But today I was able to do some research. Yesterday I was able to do some research just to kind of give us some more words. And I put a little bit more thought into what's going on today in today's show. So I'm really glad you're here. I want to get into it. Again, my name is Joel. If you're just tuning in, I used to run club bars and restaurants back in the day. Since then, I have gotten into ministry, and in getting into ministry has been one of the hardest thing that I've done as far as a shift ever. Because, you know, there's a lot less resources, and you really have to be doing it for the right reasons, the right purpose. And I have felt very compelled to share not only my story, but to help people and empower people with tools to share theirs. And so that's kind of how I got here. This particular project started, 18 episodes ago. We're in week 4 right now, which is just incredible to even think about the fact that we've done something. I think part of this is fine-tuning me and my commitment to showing up with something regular, showing up with something with what I have, with what I can offer, because I've been in a season where I can't offer a ton. And so as I talk through some of the steps of breaking down sharing, I'm going to check in around some of mine too, right? I'm going to share with you guys what some of my answers are around that framework. And so today, the questions, and that we're going to answer the question, can we share too much, with the questions who, what, why, when, where, and how. Okay, like it's funny because when I used to nightclubs, that was how I communicate. That was one of the things I would teach people as far as communication goes. Even like with flyers, promotion flyers. Can someone pick up the flyer and say, okay, I know who's invited, me. I know where it's going to be, Lumen. I know when it's going to be, 7 p.m. No one came at 7 p.m. 10 p.m. doors are going to open, but people are going to show up at midnight. Why are they doing the party? To celebrate, Sean Mac's birthday. How are they going to do it? Get your RSVP here or your phone number. And so answering those 5 questions more often than not gives people a quick snapshot into, here's the reasons, here's the motivation behind it. So that's what we're going to do. And I think motivation is where we're going to start. So we're actually going to start with the question why. We're going to do a little bit out of sequence, but the question why. Again, shout out to my friend who just set me up with this beautiful, caring, loving question out of concern for me, but then also knew how to present it with care, because it's already hard enough to share. It's already hard enough to show up sometimes, but her care in the process basically it empowered me to answer instead of scaring me away from the answer. Does that make sense? So I think that's an important as outside observation as we engage with our friends, as you engage with me, as you listen to me, as you understand or hear some of the things that I say, understand that I don't do this because I'm good at this. I do this because I know that this is my purpose. And we'll get into the why. And I think I spoiled the why part for me. But intention matters. One of the things that I talked about earlier today with my therapist is, I asked her the question. I already have my opinions on everything, but I care about what my therapist thinks, and she's had enough time with me, right? She's heard me talk about share. She's heard me share a lot. I've shared very candidly, very openly, very honestly with her. Here on the show, in this ministry, nonprofit business, there's one of the rules is that we show up humble, open, and transparent. Like Mike Todd's church, Transformation Church, humble, hot, coming in hot, humble, open, and transparent. I'm gonna add an extra H, humble, open, honest, and transparent. So still coming in hot, but it's very important for us to show up in those ways. It's very important for me to show up in those ways. Because the honesty part, I add the honesty part in there because sometimes that's the hard part. Sometimes, especially when you're struggling with something, sometimes the honesty part is the hard part. That's the part where you're the most scared to show up, to be vulnerable. So humble, open, honest, and transparent. But as you do that, as you share, one of the most important things is your intention. What's your intention? What's the intention behind you sharing what you're sharing, right? And so I want to answer what my intention is. My intention for sharing the way that I share. I understand that it could be misinterpreted by whoever. So one of the most important parts is for us to understand what our intention is, what our motivation is, how this truth kind of is reconciled inside of us. What is it going on inside of us that compels us to share this in the first place? Okay. And I think that there could be a lot of different reasons, a lot of different whys, a lot of different generalized whys. Some of the whys that I can think of just off the top of my head is that, you're in need of attention. You share something, whether it's vulnerable or not, but you share something maybe on social media or whatever it is, because you want the likes, you need the attention, you need the engagement. Maybe you're separated. Maybe you feel distant from people, and likes are the way that you feel seen. Maybe, and I'm not knocking none of this, by the way. I'm just kind of pointing out that there are a bunch of different ways, and we are very binary, very, very X's and O's, very X and Y, ones and zeros society right now. So I want to let you know that you can be a combination of anything that I say next. Anything that I say today on this show could be your motivation, could be part of it, could be 1% of it, could be 5% of it, could be 10% of it. There is an element when my friend Sue, my therapist today said, I'd argue that part of you, Joel, wants the acknowledgement of this project. And I was like, but I really don't care about doing the project. I really don't care about the accolades. I'm not trying to build accolades. She said, but it's a normal thing to want to be acknowledged for doing work that she said, you told me earlier today in this conversation that you're really spent after doing the show. And so you lay down. And I've said it multiple times on this show. I'm spent. I pour out a lot. And she says, there's nothing wrong with wanting to, and I've said before, at least as long as one person hears, one person gets something from it. But even that, wanting one person or wanting, to be acknowledged for doing this work is acknowledging this work is even it's a percentage. It's part of why. When my friend Sue shared this post, I was like, oh, people are gonna watch. People might watch. She's got 50,000 followers. But and so I shaved. I shaved my head. You know what I'm saying? Because I do care. I do care about showing up with my best, doing my best. If someone is listening or if someone is paying attention to, and I do care. I do care a certain percentage about that. So I want to make sure that I strip away the shame. And I kind of take away the shame from what some of our whys could be in the beginning, but one of them could be for attention. I want to take the shame away because one of the ways that we share things and maybe possibly are seeking attention is if we need help. You know what I'm saying? There's people in the world that share things about themselves that are going on that are very, very, very vulnerable things, right? And you wince to see it. Honestly, I will be honest, one of my inspirations for how they share is my friend Monica. And she shares things that are very deep. She shares things very matter of fact. She shares things that are very wide open, like just out there in the world. You know what I'm saying? Like she shares things that are that other people would not share. And I mean about her mental health, about suicidal thoughts. Yesterday was her birthday. Happy birthday, Monica. Like you made it. I'm so happy you're here. You know, like, and I mean that genuinely. And you know why I'm so happy you're here. You know why I get to rejoice with you. Like Romans 12 says, Romans 12. Then right now, Romans 12 says, rejoice when someone rejoices and weep when someone weeps. And I've wept with you and I rejoiced with you. And today, yesterday, for your birthday, I rejoiced with the fact that you're here. Part of the reason why I know you're here is because you shared the fact that you've had suicidal thoughts. You shared yesterday publicly that you've had 2 attempts on your own life in the last year. And I'm just so happy you're here. Do you understand? My jubilation can be greater because you shared your pain. And so a lot of times in this society, we knock it. People, it's sharing for attention. Do you understand that sharing for attention means that they might need something? They might need help. They might need support. They might need a little bit more love. They might need to have something about their environment restructured to feel seen, to feel loved, to feel appreciated. So that's a motivation to share. Connection is one that is like, sharing opens up the opportunity for someone else to see or hear something that's going on inside of you and identify with it and say, you know what, I've gone through that. I didn't say it. I might not have said it because we're programmed not to talk about it. We're programmed not to share. And the reason why I say when the simple answer is, can we share too much? My simple answer is no, is because I am fighting directly against the thoughts of the world that say that sharing is bad, that sharing is weakness, that sharing is counterproductive, that sharing scares people off. And I'm not saying that it doesn't scare people off. I'm not saying that my vulnerability hasn't scared people out of my life, that it hasn't hurt people who love me. But what you have to understand is there is a connection that can happen, that is able to happen. And you know what the crazy part about it is? I might share something 4 years ago. No joke. 5 years ago, I shared something that someone recently brought up. So even though I didn't realize that there was a connection, there was a connection to that person, and they were able to see their struggle in my own. And since I am a person who wants to facilitate connection with people between each other, that's part of my why. Part of my why is to help to teach people to facilitate connection with each other. My instruction, my goal is to go first. When I can go first, when I'm able to go first, when I'm able to share, when I have it in me to share, good or bad, to go first and to share. And so that's so connection might be one of those reasons. Another why could be destruction, and that's a real thing. It could actually be your intention to share, to destroy. And the reason why I bring this one up, and the reason why I want to make sure that I hit this point, is because sharing can't. So that might be the caveat to the question: can we share too much? If it is not sharing to build, and it's sharing to destroy, like gossip or slander or dissension between people or disconnection, or if it's not set up to build, then yes, you can share too much. That you can share too much. So the caveat, the thing that kind of is the anomaly in the no, you can't share too much. It's just a matter of who, what, when, where, why, how. The caveat to that is that if it's malicious, if it's in you to destroy someone else, if it's meant to destroy, sharing can be bad. Yes. And what's important about sharing is you understanding what your motivation is, you understanding what's inside of you that's driving you to share. And the reason why I say that is because I've been questioned. There's a person, I said it yesterday, that was kind of on the inside of an organization and was like, oh, we can't hire Joel. He shares too much. And the reality is that organization, or the person in that organization, felt like I might expose some things or say some things or just say what I saw. And that might have been intimidating. But I had to reality check on myself and say, do you share too much? Are you frivolous with your conversations or with your words? And I've actually been called on it a few different times. There have been times when I have not shared with the right intention. Absolutely. 100%. I will confess. I have gossiped. I have slandered. I have not had pure motivations with my lips, with my heart, with what was in my heart and what I've said. As far as I know that I've reconciled those situations, the ones that I know of, I made good with those things. And I've had to check in and make sure I had that reality check with myself, because your motivation to share, your why, is what matters. And then there's another why I kind of touched on, I said in need of a safe space, but that can be because you need attention or help. That can be because you need connection. And so your why matters. Your why probably matters more than all of the rest of the questions that we can answer the question with. But what is your why? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is your why? Now, so that's the why. So who? And I want to go over who, because one of the most important things mom taught me when I was a kid was that your audience matters. Who you're talking to matters. My therapist pointed out today that it's dangerous for me to post or to talk about publicly and on social media things that are vulnerable, because I open myself up to anybody's opinion with snapshot judgments and all those kind of things. And I completely agree. I completely agree with the fact that it is dangerous, and my who is different than most people's who. And I want you to hear that again. My share with who is different than most people's share with who. Most people, if you were to share, I'm a huge Brene Brown fan. I've gone through Wholehearted Living at Soul City Church twice. Highly recommend the course. It's coursework by Brene Brown, run through the care team at Soul City Church. And I've gone through it twice. The content is so good. Brene is so good at destroying shame and opening up and stepping into vulnerability. And she's a scientist who has studied shame and vulnerability and like from a scientific perspective. And then she also is a woman with faith. But let me tell you, there is 1000% science behind what that's not even a real number. Okay. It's 100% because that's as high as we can go. Science behind her work and around what her responses have been in the spaces that she has communicated, that she has studied. So there is a very specifically scientific backing to Brene Brown's work. Now, that being said, she is able to, and she's done everything. She's done TED Talks. She's been on 60 Minutes. She's done all these things. Look up Brene Brown, anything around shame. It's just really, really, really good work. But a huge reason why people don't share is because of shame. Is because shame, feeling shame, being shamed, feeling like they're going to be judged. And you know, not Brene Brown's work, God's work in the Bible. The first time shame manifests itself or showed up in the world was when Adam and Eve had just eaten from the tree, and all of a sudden they realized they were naked. That nakedness, that understanding that their nakedness, that knowing that they could be seen naked, that they before that moment, shame hadn't entered the world, so there was freedom. Okay, so I want you to pay attention to that specific point. Before shame entered into the world, there was freedom, and they did not even know they were naked. Shame entered in the world. In the fall, manifests itself for the first time when God said, Adam, where are you? And Adam was hiding. Adam and Eve were hiding because they were naked and they knew they were naked. And that is shame. that nakedness, that not wanting to be vulnerable, is that understanding of your own weakness and your understanding of your, that's not God's intention for us though. He didn't intend for us to be scared of being where we are, exactly who we are, exactly the situation and the season that we're in. He designed for us to be naked, you know what I'm saying, and free. And so shame entered the world. And because shame entered the world, we realized we became afraid. Nothing else changed. God didn't change. We changed. And when we changed, we started to hide. We started to bury our pain. We started to hide and run from our suffering. It's what we hear when we hear suffering in someone else's story. It's the thing that makes us cringy, because I couldn't say those things, you know. And I felt it when I felt my friend Monica share so openly about her attempts on her own life. I'm like, oh my God, like, you know why? I my heart flutters, my panic attack comes up, is because it makes me look at my own brokenness. So sometimes sharing can shed a little bit of light on some things that people may not be ready to or willing to like look at. And that's okay. Don't stop sharing. If your why is good, don't stop sharing. But with who matters, because I think it's important to point out, I share a lot. I don't share everything. I don't share everything with y'all. I share a lot. I think I'm transparent. I think I'm a pretty transparent person, but I don't tell you everything. I don't think that there's any one person that I tell everything to. The only one that I tell everything to, confess everything to, is my Father in heaven. And that's it. He's the one that knows everything, because he really purely knows. My who there is there's some things that are for God. There's some things that are for Instagram or Facebook or YouTube. And by the way, if you're tuning in today, make sure you subscribe, like and subscribe our YouTube page. We're on live 1:30 every single day. Share the live stream. It's a simple way for us to just show up with what I got right now in this particular season. What I can do is I can show up. I can be vulnerable. I can welcome people into a space. I can make sure that I'm showing up at the end of the dock like Will Smith and I Am Legend every day at 1:30. His was 12 o'clock. And just show up. And so if you need to be somewhere where you know that someone's going to be, 1:30 every single day, Monday through Friday. So we've gone through our why, which is the most important part of the whole thing. Our why. Why do we share? Our who, right? Who are we talking to? Who are we trusting with our important information? Where? I talked about that a little bit as well. Like where are we doing it, right? Where are we doing? Are you doing it in the safety of therapy? I highly recommend it if you're not. But I recommend you seeking out and creating a space where you feel free, right? Where you feel like you're not judged, where you feel like you're just able to be you and be open and say the words that you feel coming out of your mouth. I'm going to turn this music down a little bit. And so your where matters, right? And where my friend Christy, she may describe this as like a boundary. Where are your safe places? Where are your safe boundaries for how and where you share? Where are the places that you know that within that space, within those boundaries, you have safety? You have someone that you can trust. You have someone that can try not to judge too much, because it's impossible to not judge. It's just some people are just better at being empathetic and kind of saying, hey, you know what, I've been there. So maybe that's a place. That's a where, is with an empathetic person. I don't think that me sharing on Instagram and Facebook is me sharing with an empathetic audience. I mean, clearly it is, because my friend presented me this question that said, hey, you know, I want to ask you a question with love and compassion. And do you think that we can share too much? Because I had posted something very vulnerable. So I have received an empathetic audience. I just don't expect an empathetic audience. My part of my where I share comes from out of my spiritual gifts. One of my spiritual gifts is the gift of teaching. And here's the thing, I don't even want it have some of the times, like when my kid is going through something and I happen to have like something to offer or some way, my mind automatically goes into how can I make sure that she understands this from a lesson point of view. So if she goes through something, and it can be something as simple as the other day, you know, I can't even, I don't want to share I'm not going to share a story. See, look, I have a boundary. There's something I want to share. But there was a conversation that I overheard and I kind of commented on the conversation and it became a lesson. Like, okay, well, I understand that this is the intention. I understand that this is the thing. And this is how that conversation could have, should have, would have kind of, gone if it was under different circumstance. So my spiritual gift, one of my spiritual gifts, and it took me a while to come to terms with this, because I think my father was he was spiritually gifted at teaching as well. And I resisted. I was like, no, like he acted like he knew everything. I don't know anything. I just have a gift for being able to take the things that I have some sort of understanding of and being able to relay them in a way that gives people the option to accept it, to reject it, to make it part of theirs, to plant a seed maybe, or to not. And so I just am try to be faithful with my spiritual gift. And another one of my spiritual gifts is the gift of leadership. But I don't think leadership, I think servitude. Leadership to me is it's a word that means the biggest servant in the room. You know what I'm saying? And so those are some of my gifts. So that helps me to define where I share. And so then the next question that we'll go over. So why are you sharing this particular information? Is it good? If it's not for building or for transformation or growth, and if it is to destroy, then that's the only caveat that we've identified so far for why not to share. That if it's malicious, if it's destructive, God once told me that I had an option to build or destroy. That's it. With everything that he's put inside of me, with everything that he's given me, with my slick tongue and fast words and the way my brain moves, I can either build or I can destroy. That's it. Those are my options in every single situation, in every single conversation, in every single situation. I slipped the other day and I was gaming, and gaming can be one of the most toxic things that you can do in history of the world. Because like there's no filters. People are just like, if you do something bad, people are like, kill yourself, destroy, delete the game. And I'm not exaggerating. And I didn't go that far, but I participated. This dude, I had made a bad play in the game, which is a game and it's not even real. And I definitely shouldn't have engaged, but he said something and I was like, and I said, he goes, delete the game. I said, bro, I had more damage than you had. You should delete the game. No, that's all I said. That was the worst. And it gets way worse in that world. But I participated. I didn't build anything in that situation. You know what I'm saying? What I could have done, and I was just pissed in that moment, but what I could have done is been like, yo, my bad. I totally screwed that up. And it would have been a 2-second sound clip and he would have got off. And normally I do that, actually. Normally I do that. Or I patronize. I'm sarcastic, which isn't building, so it's destroying. And someone has told me to delete the game the other day. I was like, oh my gosh, I should delete it. I was just thinking I should delete the game. My gosh. Thank you so much for bringing that to my attention. But anyways, your options are to build or destroy. That's it. And if you're building with your sharing, go for it. It's a matter of who, what, when, where, why, how. If you're destroying with it, zip it up. Like don't use words to destroy or to tear down or to slander people, period. And that's in the Bible too. I just don't have that scripture readily available. One thing that I want to say that I pulled out of a Brene Brown video: faux vulnerability is manipulation. So let's pay attention to this point in the middle of our lesson. Faux vulnerability. Faux vulnerability is, you know what faux fur is? You're right. It's fake fur. It looks like it's real fur. It might even feel like I was about to say taste like it's real fur. It might even feel like it's real fur, but it's fake fur, right? Faux vulnerability, being fake, sharing fake, being fake. That's not real. And if it's not real, then it's manipulation. So understand that, hear that super clearly. If you share with the intention to achieve a result, maybe it's to achieve the connection, maybe it's to achieve the attention, maybe it's to achieve destruction, who knows, maybe it's to act like you're in need of help, maybe it's to act like you are in leadership or in service. Acting like you are in those positions but it not being authentic, that's not sharing, first of all. So that doesn't apply to the question, can we share? But second of all, it is dangerous. It is manipulation. Her quote wasn't this, but this is what I heard. I heard full vulnerability is manipulation. It is acting like you are sharing to bamboozle somebody, to lead them in one particular situation or position, but then to achieve your own goal or to serve yourself. And not serve yourself from a healthy way. Serve your health from like line your pockets, or to you take advantage of maybe someone's empathy or compassion or sympathy towards you in a particular situation. That is bad. That is a no-no. That is not sharing. That is manipulation. And I think the reason why I think this struck straight into my heart is because this felt like the difference between me and my father. And I get to celebrate. I can celebrate my father, pastor, sharer, teacher. I can celebrate understanding that wasn't sharing. That was manipulation. I can celebrate having the same spiritual gifts as this human being who decided to serve himself. I get to celebrate because I get to say, that's not my motivation. My motivation isn't to line my pockets and to build myself up or make myself. I say it all the time. I just need one person to hear. And to my friend Darius Branch, I said I would say your name. You said I could say your name. Darius challenged. I'm sorry. Challenged. Darius challenged me when I said, I used to hate it. Can I be honest? Can I be 100? I don't really want to tell you this, but I felt like I felt like I got to tell you this. I used to hate it when my teacher said if as long as I reach one, because I knew that she was reaching so many more than one. And I said, man, first of all, thanks for sharing that, because, I say as long as there's one person, as long as there's one, I'm happy. And I think that's what you have to understand is that points more to my motivation, to my why, than it does to anything else. Because when I say one, I'm not expecting just one. Okay. I never said just one person. I said, if at least one gets something from me sharing, whatever it is, however it is, whatever it's about. The one that I can think of right now that kind of sparked this whole conversation was me sharing at 5:30 in the morning. I was in a ton of pain. I was texting Hannah about having to start her day basically without me. And what I wanted to, okay, we don't have the one part. They didn't have the one part we need for the share mobile at the store. Okay. Anyways, the reaching one isn't the limitation of just one. Reaching one is the humility that says, I'm not doing this to grow me. I'm doing this so that the pain that I've gone through, the situation that I've gone through, the texting Hannah in the morning and kind of setting it up. There's a parent out there that read that text message that's been in pain or that's had a hard time and that needed to read. I felt compelled to read that text and be like, man, you know what? Even in pain, I could still motivate my kid. Even when I'm not feeling good, I could still say, my kid, I could still pass on care and love to my kid. And let me tell you something. When you're a parent in pain, and you need to be reminded of the fact that you can be a parent in pain and pass on love to your kid regularly, because it's the hardest job in the world. And when you are suffering in the hardest job of the world, when you're suffering personally and you're doing the hardest job in the world, it can mess with your head. It can mess with your confidence of being a parent. It can mess with a lot of different things. So my motivation was just to reach maybe the 1 or 2 or 3 parents that are like, man, even in the middle of my darkest hours, my hardest mornings, my hardest days, there's still a way for me to be conscious and cautious and caring and loving for my kid. And so that's the reason why I shared that particular thing. It doesn't surprise me because this person isn't a parent, and so that particular message didn't evoke that. But again, I got to understand my why. I got to understand that when I share on Facebook and YouTube and Instagram, that there's people that are going to understand it or misunderstand it. I can't be concerned with the people that are going to misunderstand or misinterpret. I have to be concerned about the one who might need it, the one who might get it in that particular minute. Again, my why, my where, my who, my how does not have to be yours, but you have to answer those questions about how you share, about who you share with, about, and so we've kind of talked about the what, the who, or the why, what. Maybe it's important to talk about the what, because I said earlier that I don't share everything. And yes, I am transparent as I feel safe being, but what I share, it's not going to be the same. It's not going to be, my borders are set at a different place. It's not going to be the same as what you share. And it might not be like, you might not share your financial. You definitely might not share. See, here's the thing. What I share, if I right now financially unstable, financially don't have shit. So for me, it's important to share that because I don't expect that for long. I don't expect that forever. And I want to say it outside. I want to say it out of my mouth that I've never been in the worst financial situation in my life, so that it is clear that when I am not, that God gets the credit and God gets the glory and God gets the praise, because it's nothing Joel's going to do to solve that. It's not. This ain't something I'm not going to do it. I'm refusing. I'm not going to solve that. I'm going to trust that what I'm doing will solve that. You understand? I'm going to trust my purpose over my fears. And so, and that is a hard thing to do. That is a terrifying thing to do. My voice even cracked when I said it. It's a terrifying thing to do, but that's where my boundary is for communication. Look, when I go crazy, when I don't know, a book launches and sells or whatever it is that God's going to end up doing to overwhelmingly bless my family, that might be where the what isn't about money anymore. I might not be like, hey guys, I just got a check for $1 million. Can you believe it? You know what I'm saying? Like that might not be my what anymore that I share, because that's not going to serve anybody. That's not going to inspire the person that's having a hard time, struggling, that probably needs to hear more about how poor I was just the other day than geez, I did it again. I said poor, and I don't mean to say poor. I don't mean to take it for granted. I have everything I need. I am not poor. I am rich. I am a king. Okay. And I don't mean to speak differently about myself. I'm just in a hard spot. And I feel, even though I am confident, I feel heavy around it sometimes. And that comes out when I use words like poor, because I'm not poor. I'm rich. I have everything I need. I've seen what poverty looks like in the world. So I repent for that again. In the middle of my conversation, God, I'm sorry for continuing to use that. Help me stop saying poor. Help me stop looking at my situation as being one that's poor, and actually in my heart believe the things that you continue to do for me, and continue to put food on my plate, and continue to put money in our account to whether it's to build the share mobile computer, whether it's to pay for rent, whether it's pay for electricity, whether it's the fact that all that can go away, and the fact that I just have a roof over my head and a bed to sleep in. I'm not poor. And so, Lord, I just pray that you help me in this hard time. You help me to readjust the way that I even see myself, my situation. In Jesus' name, amen. But so where are we at? Where are we at with everything? Can we share too much? I think no, still. I think if your motivation is good, I think that if you are a person that is going through the process of transforming themselves, if you are a person that seeks transformation, if you don't want to change, if you just want to say what you want to say and get it off your chest, and if it's not serving in any sort of transformational capacity, then I think don't share anything. Keep your mouth shut. If you ain't got nothing nice to say, no, this doesn't really apply, because normally if you ain't got nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. It's kind of what you say when you don't have you have something nice to say about someone else. When I say share, I mean step in, lean into vulnerability. I mean step in, lean into the things that are difficult that we are programmed to run from. That's what I mean. And I think it's important to revisit one of the most important things about me starting this mission is that I kind of had an idea or a way to say it with our mission statement. And I think we're close. I don't know. I think we're close. If you're here, you can say it was good or bad or whatever, or you liked it or not. But the mission statement as it stands so far for share is sharing our blessings and our bruises to resource each other with love and empathy. And what I mean by that is the reason why I say share, and the reason why I get off and sign off every show by saying, don't forget to share, you have enough, is because I believe in my heart that we have enough, good or bad, whether it is resources or whether it is pain. We have enough. We have enough to interact, connect with, share with each other. If it's resources, you have enough to buy the person behind you a coffee and make their day. And that might be as simple as it is. But I don't want share to just make people feel like, oh, I don't want to give away my money. When I say share, I'm not even most of the time not even talking about resources. I'm talking about the posture of opening your hands to release the control that the thing you're trying to hold on to has over you. Like that's what I mean by share. What I mean by share is if it's pain that you are holding on to, if it's pain that you don't know anything else to do but to hold on to it, to keep it to yourself, to hide it, to bury it, to let it eat you alive. When I say share, I mean to let go of that. I mean to let go of that with a person you can trust, in a place you can trust, in a way that you can be not in with a person that's not judgmental, with a person that is able to walk with you through that season. I mean to share, to let go. I mean to share to, if you are a person that is blessed with resources, and resources could be time. Resources could be a house that you have an extra room in. Resources could be enough money to make the person's day behind you and buy them a coffee. Resources could be a glance, a look in the eye. You have resources. You have ways to bless other people, no matter how little you think you have or not. For me, this is where I am with my resources. I have time. I can't do a whole lot of anything right now. I can't even walk down the freaking street. That's a true story. I cannot walk down my street without crutches right now, but I can show up every single day at 1:30 and make sure that people know that they're not alone. And so I have plenty. I have enough. I have enough. So I want to share. It's not but if your resources are money, then share them. Share it. You have enough of it. If your resources are time, then share your time. If you are a person that just is wise and is resourced with life experience. My friend AC, his birthday was yesterday, along with Monica's, along with my friend Terry's. I guess everybody's birthday was April 6th yesterday. And my best friend AC, I did a whole tribute to him yesterday. But man, this dude has some of the most wise things that I've ever heard come out of a human being. So his resources, the thing he has to share, the thing that I have benefited greatly from, is his ability to listen to what I'm saying and listen to what God's saying at the same time, and then just be like, hey, you should just go ahead and start buying that computer. Because if God told you to do it, it's going to show up. The money's going to show up. And literally that happened. That exact same thing. So my point is, his resource is wisdom, and he shares his wisdom. So that's why I still say, can we share too much? No. There are things that are important to consider. Who you share it with matters. Why you share it in the first place matters the most. Why? What is your intention? Again, Brene Brown, faux vulnerability is manipulation. So if your intention is to bamboozle someone, trick someone into giving you something that you want or need from them, then that's not sharing in the first place. That's just manipulating someone. If you're sharing for attention, I'm not gonna knock people for sharing for attention, because I think people's lives have been shared because they sent that post on, lives have been saved because they sent that post on Facebook that says, I'm done. And then they got attention, and someone reached out and someone said, hey, friend, you okay? So I'm never gonna knock a person for sharing to get attention. You know what I'm saying? I'm not in that position. I'm not in that place. I'm going to share to get, I don't share for attention. I share, like I said, I share in order for my story, my reality to benefit at least one person. And then I know that God's going to expand that from there. But connection is another reason to share. Destruction is another reason to share. And obviously, if you are sharing for destructive purposes, to tear down someone else, to badmouth someone else, to gossip, to slander, then you are not sharing in a space that you need to share. And that is the only caveat to, can we share too much? I don't think we can share too much of our deep sorrow or remorse or regret. I think we need to share more of it so that it becomes more par for the course to hear a person process. The other day, I heard my friend Courtney. He got online and he did a live similar to this, and just did a live, and he had some things to say, and he shared some things that were deeply inside of him and some struggles that he had deeply inside of him. And I could not be more proud of him. There's not a lot of people that could have listened to that and not be heartbroken for the things that they heard come out, or the things that and there's people that won't react right away or in that moment. There's people that won't be like, yo, I'm like, hey, bro, like, wow, keep it up. I even said, thanks for sharing. And it's spelled sharing with the, wrong, like I do it, share, and then ing. Anyways, people may not understand your motivation, and that's okay. That's part of why it's important that we share with people. That if we have a certain expectation, if we need attention, we need help, or we need care, sharing with someone who has the capacity to help. I have put my hand up repeatedly. If you are a person that is in need of therapy, I'm not a therapist, but if you need someone to talk to, someone to pray with, someone to listen, I raise my hand every single time, because I'm not a therapist, but I'm definitely a therapist. And if you're nervous to talk to a therapist because you don't know if you're going to have all the right things to say, I can talk for the whole time that we share. If you just need space, if you need someone to binge watch a movie with you, or binge watch a series with you, I have the capacity to share in those places right now. And we're building this organization with the intention of making it easier for people to get to be together through sharing. And that's our goal. And so who we talked about, what you're sharing matters. We talked about that, where you share, and that matters. Why you share, that matters probably the most. How you share. I think that here's what I think about how you share. I'm positive that people are confused about how I share. Positive, 1,000%. Sure. I know that people are question my motives, I don't care. Have fun with that. But I know that people question how I share, because the way I share is the way oh my gosh. Oh, I can tell it's getting close to an hour because I'm past my point now. I'm past how long I can handle it. But how I share is humble, open, honest, and transparent. Transformation Church is humble, open, and transparent. So I'm stealing it. I'm stealing it. The reason that I share that way, that I'm saying, is because of my story. My story. My story. I share how I share because of my story. Because I've been in the spotlight. I've been ridiculed. I've been beat up. I've been doubted. I've been questioned. People have questioned my motivations my whole life. I'm used to it. I understand it. I don't know why. Maybe because I'm tall and bald, but people always seem to think that I'm up to something different than what I actually am up to. And so I'm used to it. So for me to share in a space that's wide open, that's very vulnerable, that's out here, that's scary, it doesn't mean it's any less scary. It just means that in my life, I've experienced it more. In my life, I've been prepared for it. And I say that, and I guarantee you that, first time I let down somebody, it's going to be a really hard situation. It's going to be a really hard situation. It's all like when you take a step into servitude at a very high level, it gets a lot of speculation. It gets a lot of doubt. It gets a lot of like, this person's doing it for something other than what they're doing it. And I get it. And I've seen it. And I've been behind the scenes at churches that do it really, really bad. I mean, remember, my father used to lay hands on people, lay hands on people at church, and then lay hands on all of us at night. So I've seen the fragility. I've seen it at its worst. I've seen it behind the scenes. You dig? And I am making a decision. I've made a decision to share this way. I made a decision to open my mouth when I'm in the middle of pain. I've made a decision not to get attention, but to give permission. Wait, I think I wrote something. Wait, I think I have to quote myself real quick. Yeah, sharing, spelled SHAREING. Sharing represents the posture of letting go and letting God, whether it's tangible blessings or suffering in pain. Sharing is freedom from the control of the idols of our heart. It's freedom. Sharing is freedom from the control that the thing that we're letting go has over us. So I'll read it again. I'll quote myself one more time. I just wrote it as my notes. But sharing, right? Sharing represents the posture of letting go and letting God, whether it's tangible blessings or suffering and pain. Sharing is freedom from the control of the idols of our hearts. Another way better way of looking at it or hearing is in the Bible in Corinthians 12:17. Each is given the manifestation of the Spirit for the common good. When I said earlier, my gifts are teaching and leadership. And so if two of my gifts are teaching and leadership, sharing is a natural thing for me to do. It is something that I have to do in order to kind of serve the body, but it's for the common good. You understand? Some of us have to be the people that talk too much, and some of us have to be the people that listen. And some of the people that listen eventually turn into the talkers, and sometimes the talkers end up turning into the people that shut up and write books or shut up. Period. And so, but it's all of us playing our spiritual strengths in that environment. And then I'll end on this scripture. and I'll read it two different ways. One is NIV translation, and this is a scripture that is kind of like one of the pillars of share, and it's two are better than one. So Joel, how do you know? How do you know that you're supposed to share? Great question. Ecclesiastes 4:9-10 answers that for me personally. Two are better than one because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up. But pity anyone who falls down and has no one to help them up. That's why it's important to share. That's why it's important to share. The Message version reads like this. And guess what? You'll probably tell me if you hear a certain word a couple times in here. A couple times you're going to hear a certain word in this scripture. Ecclesiastes 9-12 in the Message version says, it's better to have a partner than to go at it alone. Share the work. Share the wealth. And if one falls down, the other helps. But if there's no one to help, tough. Two in a bed warm each other. Alone, you shiver at night. By yourself, you're unprotected. With a friend, you can face the worst. Can you round up a third? A 3-strand rope is not easily snapped. A 3-stranded rope is not easily wrapped. So not just is it important to share, it's important to bring others into sharing. And can we share too much? I'd still say no. I still don't think that we could share too much. I think the way we can do it could be irresponsible. I think how we do it could be irresponsible. I think why we do it could be irresponsible. I think what we share could be irresponsible. I think sharing with the wrong intent is manipulation. And I think sharing to be destructive is the caveat to can we share too much. It's the only time in my learning in the last couple of days where I came across this actually means don't share. This is because if you're not sharing to build, you're sharing to destroy. And so as long as your motivation is pure, as long as you are looking for and seeking transformation, as long as you're looking to lean in and not run away, then no, we can't share too much. But deviations from that, deviations from transformation lead you to share with the intent of manipulation. Deviation from sharing with care, or sharing to achieve connection, or sharing to receive help. Those deviations from those ways of sharing are only to serve yourself. And I don't think the point of sharing is not to serve ourselves. The point of sharing is to transform ourselves. Let go of what controls us, good or bad, and to really make a run at connecting with each other. And we did it. That's our show. Gosh, that feels so good. It feels so good. It feels so right. I'm so thankful that I get to do this for the rest of my life. It feels right. It feels like everything that I've ever gone through in life coming together in one moment that says, yo, all of that, every single thing that you've ever gone through is for this purpose. And so if you bring all of you into this mission, this purpose, all of your experience, all of your good, all of your bad, every single broken piece of you into this purpose, then I might actually be able to serve some people in this purpose. I might actually be able to reach, like I might actually be able to help people shake off that shame. Take it off. Shake that shame jacket off. You don't belong here in the first place. And maybe achieve, maybe just get a little bit more freedom. A little bit more freedom. Instead of having all these things that just eat at us, that work on us, that work on our minds, that work on our hearts, that we hide from everybody. Or these things that we create as idols in our lives. Maybe there's a way. Maybe this will help shake some of that stuff off and achieve freedom. That's what I want. And I will be clear again, as I have been clear every single day in the show. I do this ministry for as much for me because I need it, as much for my own freedom, as much for my own salvation, as much for my own peace as I do for anybody that I share it with. It is for me and blank. And so that's how I want to end today. Really, I feel like today was, I felt like there's a couple times, like I feel like this is the best show we've done. But I even had some notes today. But I'm gonna read this scripture one more time and pray us out. It's better to have a partner than go at it alone. Share the work, share the wealth, and if one falls down, the other helps. But if there's no one to help, tough. Two in a bed warm each other. Alone, you shiver all night. By yourself, you're stranded and unprotected. With a friend, you can face the worst. Can you round up a third? A three-stranded rope isn't easily snapped. Don't forget that. And don't forget to share. And thanks for tuning in. We have enough. Whether it's blessings or bruises, we have enough. So don't forget to share. Don't forget to let go. Don't forget to let go and let God. Leave a space for God to get in there and do some good work today. And I have a uncanny feeling you can achieve that with sharing, with letting some of those things go. All right. Thank y'all. Lord, thank you so much for the opportunity to do this. Oh, this is just, I can't even believe I get to do this for the rest of my life. Thank you for blessing us with computer parts that came in today that arrived. And Lord, provide the other two parts that we need, that have been really elusive for us to find, so that we can continue to do this work, that we can just continue taking steps forward, baby steps forward, whether it's getting a computer today or a staff or building next. Who knows? Maybe that's the next thing that we start praying for, is a space. In the meantime, Lord, I'm asking that you heal me, that you help me get out of this pain. It's crazy right now. It's crazy. It keeps me really present. I mean, I can't go nowhere. I can't go nowhere. But please help me with the pain. Please help me to continue to stay encouraged and to keep me on track with sharing and teaching people to share and sharing our blessings and our bruises to resource each other with love and empathy. I like it. Sounds good. If that's the mission statement, Lord, let it be. We love you. We thank you in Jesus' name. Amen. That is it. I appreciate y'all. Man, I want like everybody in the world to listen to this message, because it wasn't me. You know what I'm saying? Like this is a culmination of like so many things that I have just been like put in me by God at some point. And just to see it all like there, it's like, wow, God, you've been doing so much work. You've done such a good job of like preparing me to be here right now. So anyways, y'all, don't forget to share. Love you. Love your neighbor. All that stuff. I'm going to wave at everybody. I don't even think y'all see him afterwards, but you know what? Who knows? Who cares? Maybe you get a DM and says, hey, Joel waved back at you. But, all right. Y'all have a great day. Peace out.